What if there was a master code to reality? A fundamental principle that, once you really get it, could let you change your entire life, just from the inside out. Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today, an idea that's fascinated people for centuries.
I mean, can you? Can you actually think your way to a completely different life? It's a huge question, and it's the core promise of philosophies like the New Thought movement and, of course, the law of attraction. The claim is as simple as it is profound. Your mind is way more powerful than you've ever been led to believe. Okay, let's get into it.
So we're going to start with the foundational concept itself, what some people have called the master code, this incredible link between your mind and the world around you.
This quote from James Allen's classic, As a Man Thinketh, just nails it. It's saying that everything out there, your health, your finances, your relationships, it's not random. It's actually a direct reflection, like a mirror, of what's going on inside your head, of your most dominant thoughts.
And listen, this isn't some new age fad that just popped up on social media. These ideas were being talked about and systematized way back in the late 19th and early 20th centuries by the New Thought movement. Thinkers like Florence Scovel Shinn and Ernest Holmes, they built entire spiritual frameworks around this one central idea. Your mind shapes your world.
So, how is this all supposed to work? What's the mechanism? Well, according to all these teachings, the secret lies with your subconscious mind. Think of it like this silent, tireless builder that's working 24/7, and it builds your life based on the blueprints you give it, which are your most common thoughts, and more importantly, your feelings. Which, of course, brings us to the most important question. If your subconscious is the builder, how do you give it new blueprints? How do you actually program it to build the life you really want?
Now, I love this breakdown because it makes it so clear. You've got your conscious mind, that's the gardener. It's the part of you that thinks, reasons, and chooses the seeds you're going to plant. Your subconscious mind, that's the fertile soil. It doesn't argue, it doesn't judge, it doesn't care if the seed is good or bad. It just accepts whatever you plant in it and immediately gets to work bringing it to life.
Joseph Murphy, in his book The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, boiled it down to this simple three-step process. First, know what you want. Acknowledge the problem or the desire clearly. Second, and this is the big one, you turn it over to your subconscious. You hand it off completely. And third, you just rest. You let go, and you live with this deep, quiet conviction that it's already being taken care of. It is done.
And this right here, this is the secret sauce. This is the language the subconscious understands. It's not just words. It's not wishful thinking. It responds to feeling. The whole goal is to generate the feeling you would have if your dream was already a reality right now. That feeling, that's the command. That's the seed that drops into the creative soil.
All right, so we've got the why, we've got the theory. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty, the practical how-to. What are the actual tools you can use to impress this feeling on your subconscious? Neville Goddard, who was a master of this stuff, put it so bluntly. He said, believe that you have received it. See the difference? Not that you will receive it, but that it's already yours. That state of mind, that assumption, is the foundation for all of the techniques that follow. So here's your basic toolkit. First, visualization. And we're not talking about just daydreaming. It's about creating a short, vivid, sensory scene that implies your goal is already done. Think about feeling the keys to your new house in your hand. Then there are intention lists, where you write your goals in the past tense, like, I'm so grateful now that I have. Affirmations help reprogram your self-talk. Letting go is crucial. It's about trusting the process. And finally, gratitude. Focusing on what you already have puts you in a state of abundance, which, according to this philosophy, just attracts more good stuff to you. Okay, let's pump the brakes for a second. This all sounds kind of magical, right? So what's really going on here? Is it some metaphysical, universal law? Or is it just smart psychology at work? Let's take a look. So first, you have the law of attraction. It's defined here as a spiritual belief. The core idea is simple. Like attracts like. Your thoughts are energy, and they attract similar energies back to you from the universe.
Okay, now let's switch hats and look at a well-known psychological principle, confirmation bias. This is simply our brain's tendency to see what we already believe to be true. If you think the world is a friendly place, you'll literally see more evidence of that. If you think it's hostile, you'll see proof of that everywhere too.
So when you put these two ideas right next to each other, the similarity is, well, it's pretty wild, isn't it? One is framed as this grand spiritual law, the other as a cognitive quirk of the human brain. But what really is the difference?
Here's the breakdown. The law of attraction says your thoughts actually create your reality. Confirmation bias says you just notice the parts of reality that match your thoughts. But look at the bottom line. In practice, they both operate on the exact same principle. I'll see it when I believe it. So whether you call it woo-woo fairy dust or hard brain science, the conclusion is the same. What you focus on is what you get.
But there is a very sharp critique of this whole mindset. The writer Mark Manson, for example, really went after the book The Secret, calling it confirmation bias on steroids. He argues it can become a recipe for narcissism, where people start ignoring real-world problems and even blaming victims for their own suffering, all in the name of staying positive. Now, this whole debate between spiritual law and psychology, it opens the door to an even stranger, more mind-bending possibility. What if both the mystics and the psychologists are just describing different aspects of a reality that's far weirder than we think? And this is where things get really wild. You have serious thinkers like the philosopher Nick Bostrom proposing the simulation argument. It basically says it's statistically more likely that we're living inside a sophisticated computer simulation than in the original, base reality. It's an idea that reframes our entire universe as being fundamentally information.
And this isn't just philosophy. Physicist James Gates was working on the equations of supersymmetry and stumbled upon something that looked, for all the world, like a type of error-correcting code. Yeah, the same kind of code that makes your web browser work, but embedded in the very fabric of reality. A code within the code of the cosmos. It's unbelievable.
Now, hold that thought about computer code and look at this. This is the Hermetic Tree of Life. It's an ancient mystical diagram, basically a spiritual circuit board that claims to map the structure of reality and consciousness. It's fascinating, right? Whether we're using the language of modern computer science or ancient mysticism, it seems like we've always been trying to find and hack the underlying operating system of our world.
So, after all that, ancient wisdom, practical techniques, hard psychology, and theoretical physics, where does that leave us? You and me, the players in this so-called game of life?
You know, at the end of the day, maybe the how or the why is less important than the what. Is it a universal law responding to your every thought? Or is it just a powerful psychological tool that sharpens your focus and primes your brain to see opportunities? Does it really matter which it is, if the outcome of living this way, with clear intention, with gratitude, with a belief in a positive future, leads you to a better, more fulfilling life? That, I think, is the player's choice.